Do you feel like you're being tested right now by the Lord? Just know that all the way, even back in the Old Testament, tests were important. Okay, my brothers and sisters, I can ask you, do you complain about them or are you grateful for them? I know the Israelites, they were not grateful. You know, God was constantly walking with them, showing up, listening to their complaints and giving them tests and still being faithful through all of this. You know, are we grateful or are we complaining about these tests? I know personally for me, I need tests. I need to be tested so that way I can stay in alignment with God. If I didn't have these tests, I wouldn't grow. I wouldn't know right from wrong. I could be still being manipulated and deceived. Like, these tests that God is giving the Israelites, you know, he is like literally, it says right here, I'm going to rain bread from heaven for you. The people are to go out each morning and gather enough food for the day. This way I will test them to see whether or not they will follow my instructions. Like God, even back then, tested his people. You know, we need to be tested so that way we can follow the instructions of the Lord. Like, you know, I personally need it. You know, I couldn't be growing. I wouldn't be who I am today if God didn't test me with multiple things on this journey. And I still need them. I always need them because I'm wanting to grow. I'm wanting to know more of who God is. And to do that, and to have a heart for him and to be in alignment with him, you need tests to grow. You know, do you want to grow in your relationship with the Lord? And this is the exact thing that happened to the Israelites. Like, he was trying to give them tests. He was trying to align their hearts with them. And they clearly were not listening to him. Even when he was a cloud by day and a fire by night, even when he showed up in a cloud to talk to them and hear their complaints, you know, he was still so faithful in the testing too. That's what I love about God. He's faithful even in my tests. Maybe, you know, I'm trying to really please someone and I want to make them happy even though they're doing something that I don't want to do. You know, I was recently tested with this not long ago, like a friend of mine wanting to do something that I clearly don't want to do. And I was deceived for a moment. And literally when I went to sleep and I woke up, I was like, no, that's not for me. You know, so if we didn't have these tests, we wouldn't know right from wrong. But immediately I love God's faithfulness. He pushed me right back in and my eyes were open and I'm just like, no, I know that's your friend, but you know, you are sinning going to support them for doing something that you don't want to do. I know Jesus sat with sinners, but clearly when you know you're not supposed to be doing something, and I know that you're not supposed to be doing that, I'm not going to participate in that activity. So I need these tests, you know, because it's so easy to be manipulated, distracted, and the world is the world. It's dark, you know? So if we didn't have tests, just like God gave the Israelites tests back then, we wouldn't grow and we wouldn't be having the same hearts that he has. So maybe you're in a test right now. You're not happy with it. I mean, all the way back then, Israelite who was literally seeing God pop up to them, they weren't happy either. And God, in their test, he was still spoiling them. He provided them to have 12 springs and 70 date trees. They camped out by that after they were walking through the wilderness of having no water. And then he provided and rained down manna and quail. He provided manna for 40 years for them in the desert, even with them complaining. And they asked him, why didn't God just kill us back in Egypt? You know, he is literally spoiling them through these tests and they were still not listening. You know, God does things for a certain reason. And I personally know that tests are necessary. If you're in the beginning of your journey and maybe you see this video, you're like, why am I going through this? Because God has a reason for everything. And you should be happy and being grateful and thanking him for your test. Thank you for putting me through this, because if there's a purpose for everything. And some people, I know, we don't understand that. The Israelites clearly didn't. You know, we're humans and we don't always understand what God is doing for us. But I just know from personal experience and my opinion about the situation, my life wouldn't be what it is now if God wouldn't have tested me in many of the areas where I had to make choices of doing the right thing or the wrong thing. And I love the test because I love when God is being faithful. And if I do step a little bit too far on the wrong side, he will push me back into alignment. And that's where when we do get these tests and we do make the wrong decision, that's how we are convicted. That's how our hearts become purified. We have to have them. I know it may not be easy for you if you're going through one right now, and the Israelites went through a lot. I'm pretty sure you're not walking in the actual wilderness right now with no water, or I don't know what your situation may be, but what we can have is hope in the test, because God is with us. You know, everybody's story is different, everybody's situation is different, and I'm not going to understand what you're going through, but I'm just going to personally say that for me, tests are necessary. And hopefully that this can open up your eyes that God says that he gives us these tests to see if we will follow his instructions. Are we wanting to follow his instructions so he can help us grow and become the people that we are meant to be? That's how my eyes are open now. My eyes are open to the fact that, okay, thank you, Lord, for this test. Like, I am growing. Thank you for this. Thank you for this test, allowing me to see what I'm learning right here within it in this season. Maybe we should just take the time to, if we haven't been thanking him for the things that we're going through, take the time to thank him for it, because everything unfolds perfectly in the Lord's plan. And in his plan, there are tests. May peace be with you.